All right, I'm going to talk about the HOMEBASE file today. The HOMEBASE file is a file where you can navigate from. It's always a safe place to get to. We have a target up here at the top of the screen. You'll see that's the HOMEBASE target. So you'll see that on every screen, almost every screen. So whenever you need to get somewhere and you're not sure how to get there, you can either use one of these large photo buttons, or you could go to the HOMEBASE file, and the HOMEBASE file will always give you buttons where you can navigate to. So I'm going to click this right now. It takes me to the HOMEBASE file, which is, you can see the name up here. I'm going to click the main button right here. This gives me the basic files in the Songtracker system. There are some others, but this is the basic ones that you'll be using. Now at the top, there's a row of buttons that are also navigation buttons. Some of these are the same, but these appear on all the screens, so we've put them there as well as here. So like the catalog file is there and here. So it's a little redundant, but it's to kind of get you used to seeing these buttons at the top of the screen. Now keep in mind that wherever you see these buttons, there's a previous button and a next button here. If you click this, it'll give you a different row of buttons. Now, just so you know, most of these buttons are not usable. They're for use with another system. But you should just click it that way so you could see the Songtracker buttons. If you're in here and you happen to click one of these buttons, you're going to get a dialog like this. Sorry, your password access does not allow for this operation. It's not set up. So just so you know that really you don't have the file in your system, so that's why it's not coming up. So you could, have a check writing, for example. That's from another product. So click next, and this will take you back to your basic buttons. But now, again, these buttons are down here listed. So let's use these for now. So the People button will take you to the People HOMEBASE record, which gives you a number of buttons for different starting points in the People file. So the data entry is your most common, so I'll click that. You can always hide the screen and get back to where you were. Details, that's the same screen. Email, for example. These are just different files in the People file, different layouts in the People file. Your profile screen. Now you can also get to these from within the file. Like here's the profile button. Here's a promo button. Back to the profile. So you don't have to be in HOMEBASE to get here, but it's a good starting point. So I'll click this again. Just so you know, there's various buttons that you can try. There's reports in the People file. So if you're lost, you can always click the HOMEBASE button and go back over here. You don't need to use these to go anywhere. If you wish to, you can. You can either click the Hide button to hide this window, or you can click the HOMEBASE button. Either will work. So I'm going to try it both ways. Boom. There you go. All right. Time billing. There's different layouts in the People file. So just to get you used to this, now I'm going to go back to the main, which gets me file concentric, where this is layout concentric, which is the second screen in the HOMEBASE file for the People file. But if I want to go to the main Songtracker file, main Songtracker layout, it gives me a list of all the files. Here's the contracts file. You notice they're color coded. I'm going to click hide and hide that. Catalog file is yellow, banner at the top. So you'll start to recognize these colors. License file is a light green. So it'll help you understand what file you're in. You can also always look to the top of the screen or right here, and it'll tell you where you're at. So I'm clicking the hide button down at the bottom here, taking me back to the last place I was at. Royalties. There's a royalty long list. If I click on this, it'll take me to the main royalty screen. I'm going to hide this. We're only doing navigation now. I'm not telling you anything about the files. Project file. This, if it doesn't take you directly to the file, then it's going to give you some other options of layouts that you could go to. So the project list is a good one. You can go there and click on that. Again, I'm going to hide this. I don't want to get into the files right now. I want to create a new project. It just created a new project. Put it right here. I didn't enter any data. So I'm going to hide. So to get back to the main screen, simply click Main over here on the right. Now let's try the library file. The library file, let's do the long list. The library file is a place where you store your documents. So every letter you write, you could keep in here, and you could create letters and print letters out of Songtracker. It has a full document center. You can keep them as emails, form letters, invoice notes, statement notes, any kind of thing you want, which can be explained over here. And we'll get into that in a different tutorial. But basically, just to let you know, you have a document center built in where you can email. You could create a form letter, for example, and email it to all your author contacts in California, for example. Whatever it is you want, you can isolate a found set and then send letters to a single person or a group. And when I say send letters or documents, I include email in that too, for sending emails. Now, to receive your emails, you'll still do that in your regular email application that you use daily. All right, so I'm going to click off of this. There's always another way to get back to somewhere. You can go to the window menu and find HOMEBASE. It's right here. You locate it and you'll be back where you were. Okay, now I want to go to Activities file. This is a file that stores all of your, what we call activities. So every phone call is an activity. Every letter is an activity. Every message that you collect, you can keep. It'll keep it in the activity file. When you create form letters in your document, but then when it creates a single letter for one person, it'll create a copy of it in the activity file. So you can keep track of every activity for every contact you ever have. Again, I'm going to click the HOMEBASE button. Again, I'm going to click the HOMEBASE button to get back to the layouts. If I want to go back to main, and now let's go to payments. This is a payment layouts. This is just so you can track payments of things like royalty payments, deposits, etc. There's buttons at the top on that. Again, I'm going to click the hide button. We're just navigating right now. Reports. There's reports in the payment file. Click hide. That hides that screen behind the other one and takes you back where you were previously. Clicking the main button. Now I'll go to versions file. This is the report print screen. There's the main screen for versions. Versions is where you can keep track of all different versions of a single song. You may have 25 versions of a song. This blue represents the versions file. It tells you at the top and tells you over here. Okay, again, I'm going to click the hide button at the bottom. That sends it to the back so I can see where I was previously. The evaluate screen. This is the reports for that database. This database lets you evaluate songs that come into your publishing company, or lets you keep track of feedback that you get when other people evaluate the material that you send out. So it's a very powerful file that lets you track your material and responses and things that people have said, or if they request something from you, you'll be able to track that. But that'll be looked at in another tutorial. The ship sips file is a file of 53 or 54,000 zip codes. It allows you to keep the zip code in each record of different cities and states. You can see they're changing there. There's some Canadian, but most of them are US. But that's a very powerful file. I'm going to click hide. The setup file. This is the layouts for the setup file. Goes over to where you track your information of your company name and number. So you could have as many publishing companies. Say you run 10 different publishing companies. You could have 1 through 10 in here. You could have an unlimited number of companies. This is not your contacts or your co-writers or co-publishers. These are your companies. So if you're incorporated 2 or 3 times, you could have 2 or 3 records in here. Or if you just have a name for your publishing company, you may only have 1 record in this file, but it allows you to track multiple companies that are yours, your publishing companies again. Again, I'm going to hide it, go back where I was, go back to main, and the resources file is where we keep graphics. You keep graphics and audio and video. This is one of the places you can store resources. We also have another way. There's 2 different ways you'll learn in the versions file where you can track your audio and your songs and videos. It's very powerful, but we'll get that in the versions tutorial. All right. I'm going to hide this. Click hide. Okay, so that's the files. There's a couple of things. Here's one for live events. This is in the people file. And click hide. User prefs is when you're setting things up. You can choose some of this information right here. For example, which file do I want to go to when I open? Do I want to go to the people file each day or the HOMEBASE file? It's preset to HOMEBASE, but if you start working in contacts each day, some people like to change it to people by selecting that. So that's easy to do. This preference, these are basic preferences in Songtracker. This preference lets you select where you want to navigate when clicking the large toolbar navigation buttons, either to the related HOMEBASE date layout or to the actual file. So we leave that set at file normally. You can set it to HOMEBASE if you want to always go through the HOMEBASE file. You could set it there. This shows training dialogues. In other words, when you roll your mouse over different fields, it will show you training information. If you choose no, then it will stop showing you that training data in the future. So this is helpful to leave as a yes for now. This is your calendar view. We choose large as the default, so you'll see a large calendar. When you don't need that so much, or if you want to change it to small, you can. So your email client is where you'll be sending your emails out to. You can change that if you need to. Whenever sending emails, do you want to show the email dialog in your email app or hide dialog, send in the background? In other words, you could show that file in your system. We choose that as the default. If you hide it, it's just going to actually just send the email right out of Songtracker, and it doesn't give you a second chance to look at it. Where if you choose show, it'll keep it open. And then when you go into your email application, it'll be there. Local dialing. You could have, you could set your area code. If you have a dialer, that would be for Windows mainly. But if you're set up with a dialer, you can choose whether you want your local area code to be included, or if you just wanted to dial this, the 7-digit number. This may not even be applicable to you. If not, just leave it set. Speech integration on is helpful. In some places, there'll be a speech button that you'll see a little face where you can click on it. And if this is set to yes, then it will actually talk to you and speak. Like if you wanted to have speech read some of your letters to you. It'll have a computer voice read it to you. That's a nice feature. I'd leave on yes for now. This is where you could delete all your sample data. Do not do that now. We don't recommend this until you've spent, had the system for a year or whatever, 6 months, when you really feel like you know it all, because it's going to go through every file and take out the sample data only, the data that ships with the system. It won't hurt your data. We've pre-marked all these records, and so that it won't hurt your data. So you can leave it there or you can take it out, but eventually you can run that script. It'll go through every file and take out the data that we shipped in the software whenever you're ready to get rid of that. You can always keep a backup of your files, and you should every day. So if you're worried about losing your own data, it will not delete your own data. But if you're worried about that, by keeping a backup, that ensures you don't have to worry about that. Now, the security button takes you over to a password file that lets you put in some preferences. We're not going to get into that now. That's more for your system administrator or the owner of the software. We will have a separate tutorial on this. So I'm going to get out of here for now. We've set up all the preferences as they should be in the beginning, but they are customizable. We don't recommend you mess with this unless you know what you're doing. Click hide. But that's how you get there from the HOMEBASE file. Leave this on admin. Leave this set. And we'll just click Songtracker to get back over here. Now, on the right side, we just went to user prefs. This button's not linked anymore, but we'll have it in the future hooked up for support to go right to our support page online. Close files. This will close all the files in your entire system. And that's a good way to go to. You can close out at the end of the day or at lunchtime. You can close them and back up. That's a good way to do it. You can also quit out of the application, FileMaker Pro. Now, reserves is another file that takes you over to that. You don't really need to go there. It's not managed from within here. That would be managed in licenses and royalty file, but you don't need to manage it from here, but at least you can get to it. The message center can take you and you can look up your messages, any date. And your address file. Now the address file, it says address is rarely used for data entry. You wouldn't go in here to enter information, but I'll click it so you can see it. The only reason you'd go in here, for example, is if you wanted to import data from your own old mail list and bring it in. We have a way to bring it into the address file. Now we'll have a separate tutorial on how to bring your data in here using the buttons and the script afterwards that's provided here, this script. We'll go through that in a separate tutorial. But you can import your data into here and then run a script that will merge and parse all your data into the correct files. Like it'll put the phone numbers in the phone file, it'll put the people in the people file, and the addresses will stay in the address file. We'll click hide. So this is not a file that you will be in entering data. This is just here for that one application. It's an important file, but you won't be using it. You actually do your data entry in the people file, but this is where some of the address information goes. So I'm going to hide that. And that gives you a list of all the different files that you'll be accessing in FileMaker. Again, use your HOMEBASE target to get there from any file in the system. Yeah, I hope that's helpful.